Shannon, what's up?
Not much. Stuff with you.
Oh, just excited to chat and
I'm not sure I look like that professor, but
what no, not at all. Not at
the
all.
white hair and
No, I like that picture because that's what I'm gonna look like in about 4 years at this rate.
hope not.
So I know for those that don't know, this is Shannon Donovan, Professor Donovan. Kind of sounds like Professor McGonagall. You a Harry Potter fan, Shannon?
I've seen a few couple of the movies.
Okay, so not really. Just
Not
maybe
really.
when you get bored. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a couple of like basic questions for people that didn't see your last interview. And I want to say when we did that, you were like right around the 10K mark. Does that sound
I
right?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And now we have made some leaps and bounds. I'm super excited to get into it, but I'm gonna ask you some stuff you've probably already answered, so bear with me. But tell everyone where you're at and what your full-time job is, and job, not business.
Right. Um, so I s- I'm just starting my 6th year doing lead gen agency, all of this, rank and rent, all of it. Just starting. I started in December of 18, I guess, 17. So it's anyway, just starting my sixth. I have been a professor for almost 30 years at this point, long time. So I'm also a full-time professor. I teach about 16 courses a year. So I teach a lot of courses for extra money too. So that keeps me, I probably spend 15, 20 hours a week on that. And then the other 30 hours a day, because I probably work 50 hours a week, is working on this. So I started just doing everything myself, built the websites, did the SEO, brought in one person. Now I have a team of, I'm not even quite sure, but it's around 13, 14. Most in the Philippines. I have a couple people, a general manager in the United States, an editor in the United States, and then I have 3 or 4 people that are setters for me that actually came out of this group. Um, so they've been doing some setting. Well, one didn't, but most of the rest of them did. Kind of started some the paid group, some free group, but that have kind of been learning the business with me by going through setting. And part of my agreement with doing that work with them is I spend like an hour a month with them, just kind of Q&A, do what you want, ask me whatever. And I've gotten them into a few other things that I've joined since then and gotten them involved with that. So yeah, so started from nothing. I think I was looking about, I think when I about joined your group, it was about 2 years ago. And I was about around 6,000 a month. Then about a year ago, I was at 12,000. And last month I hit 26,000. So
So
it's been kind of literally from when I did join your group, it has been, I was looking at my Stripe thing, and it about that point we just started going up, and we've been doubling every year. So
that's
um,
so cool. And what state are you in?
well, I
Okay, you
spend
don't have to
half my
say.
time in Boston when I
Oh, okay.
teach, and then I
Okay.
live in Santa Fe. So like literally Monday, I'm flying home to teach on Tuesday, and I fly back here on Wednesday. So that takes up a lot of time too,
Interesting. Okay,
flying
wow.
back and
Okay.
forth.
Very cool. So this is what important. Was that you going to say something, or was that Shannon?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, first and foremost, so you are teaching 16 classes a year. You've been doing that for 30 years. You've been able to build your business to $26,000 per month. How much of that, because I know somebody's going to ask, is like roughly how much of that is profit?
Not as much as I would like. About a
60,
third.
60% maybe?
About a third.
Okay, about a third
I
because you
got
have
a
your.
big team. I have a big team, but that's
That's
because
true.
we're growing. We are at this point. I mean, my goal is to hit 1 million this year. So I'm not going to just double. I want to triple. And
Yeah.
so I got to have a good team in place to do that. Um, so the profit isn't as much as it would be if I didn't have that team, but I also need that team to be able to keep my other job. So because that really is profit too.
Yeah, well, it's one of those
That.
things. It's like you can be a solopreneur and you could go and you could do all that work and you could probably like run yourself into the ground and you probably could pull it off and like after your ads and stuff probably make 80% profit or whatever. That's great. But you're not going to ever be able to scale to 50K. You know what I mean? Or beyond, but like,
Yeah.
there's just no way. You don't have
No,
the time.
you just run out of time. I mean, I'm running out of time with all these people on my team. So
And
yeah.
and even if you don't run out of time, you're gonna run out of energy and you're gonna burn out, and there's a whole bunch of things. So the cool part is, and guys, this is something I dealt with early on too, is like when when you're looking at what you want to build as a company, you're building the framework, and sometimes the foundation of your company, you're going to have a bigger foundation than what the house that's currently on it, right? But you're building it big enough so that you can sustain a mansion, a much larger house. And so a lot of times as you're scaling up, you're looking at going, hey, I'm going to be at $40,000 in 3 months. I need to have people trained. I need to have this. I need to have this. And because of that, you're going to be paying a lot in salaries. I mean, I was just barely looking at my taxes, and I paid a lot of money last year between my agency and then Digital Landlords. I think we paid like over $1 million in salaries and commissions, which means we made a lot more, but it's still, you have to do it, right? And so for those of you that are, in that solopreneur, I'm gonna do everything, like, I get kind of the attractiveness of that, but also, like, if you're gonna do this, why not do it big? So I want to ask you this, Shannon. Did you start outsourcing right at the beginning because of your role as a professor, or did it take you a minute before you finally made that leap?
Well, I started, yeah. Well, the first thing I did was me. Then I brought on this woman who had worked with me in another business, and I had to convince her because it was all in finance. So I had to convince her to build websites. It's like, I don't know anything about it. I'm like, I didn't know anything about it a year ago either. So I got her. And then we both hated content writing. So we started with the content writer. And then I also realized I was wasting money on Weebly and whatever other stupid things I was on. So I needed to move everything to WordPress. And at that point, I decided I do not want to learn WordPress. So again, I hired web developers. And then as we started to get more and more sites, the next thing was SEO specialists. And that's really what the bulk of my team is. We have 2 web developers. We have about 60 sites that we're maintaining right now. So about 15, they must be more than that because they have about 30 each that 2 SEO specialists team up on to do that. One does off page, one does on page, runs all the GMBs, all of that. I have one person that does do my Google ads. I have an white label for Facebook ads, and and then the writers mostly, and all the writers now do is use an AI tool. We use Search Atlas, and they just crank out everything through the writers. So we really can do it. We used to have up to 5 writers on hand. Now I have like 2.5, and we write twice as much stuff through that. But basically, I don't do any of, and I don't touch this. In fact, they tell me not to touch the sites now. So I do not touch the sites. I don't want anything to do with it. I love SEO, so I sometimes, I meet once or twice a month with my team on that and kind of keep up to date on things going on SEO wise. But otherwise, I just really work on the sales end of it and building the company that way.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So you're spending majority of the time that if you're touching the business, it's to bring in revenue.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
So
occasionally, unfortunately, I have to occasionally walk in and put out fires, but I had a big meeting with my team today, and I'm like, we have to figure out how not to tell. I'm like, I'm not going to now look at my emails from you guys for the end of the week. And I said, my general manager has my text. I go, if it's an emergency, she can text me. Otherwise, I'm not looking at it because we have forms now that customers fill out if they have an issue. And it goes to my project manager. I forgot to mention my project manager, who is really he keeps everybody on track. Like, he'll send them a report. You didn't do this many backlinks. You didn't do the citations. Where are you? And so he keeps track of when everything comes in from the customers that want, they want to add something. Because what I have been doing is moving more into SEO work. And we've turned almost all of our lead gens into SEO clients as well. Because they see how great we do. They're like, if you're doing that great on a lead gen, why don't you manage my site? So if they want to add something to their site, take something off, offer a special, it doesn't even go to me anymore. It just goes in on them for the form. He takes care of who to send it to. And that's it.
one thing I like as a kind of a side note with adding SEO as a service is you can almost tell them like, hey, this is like, you have a lot more control over the SEO deal, right? If you only have an SEO deal and they want to cancel, it's like, what are you going to do? But if you're also selling them leads, and I'm not saying you always need to do this, but there's been times when I used to do SEO where I would kind of be like, hey, this is kind of a package deal. Like, we can get rid of the SEO, but your lead, the price of the leads, I'm gonna have to charge you more for that, you know? So you have more leverage there. And then like on the flip side, if you have an SEO deal and it's in the right niche and you're targeting these specifically, the right niches, the right cities, then you can sell lead gen on the back and it really secures your SEO deal. So I love the idea of having SEO clients, SEO deals with my current lead gen clients. I just feel nervous when I have SEO clients that don't have lead gen attached, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're trying to, so that's more, we're moving into that way. So now all of a sudden it's a new different sales process because it's not leads for free when you're doing the SEO first. But we are offering a different perspective in it that most SEO companies are not offering lead gen on the side as well to do it with them. So
are you by chance working with Zach Powell?
Zach, no.
Zach Powell and his SEO stuff he teaches? Or are you just doing it? No, okay.
No, I recently joined Seven Figure Agency. So that's the goal, to be seven figures. So cool. Seven Figure Agency basically is that idea that you niche down. So we were niching anyway with our which is a thing I recommend to everybody. Niche down, it makes everything so much easier. But you know, you've got to figure that out. It took a while to figure out the niche. And then once you niche down into that, I've got a whole new name for my company. So we're just having to do with the niche. We're doing remodeling. That's what it is. Big ticket items, easier to do. I mean, it's competitive, but we've gotten good at it. We saw which niches we were good at. And so we started a new brand name with that. We've got testimonials from people that did it before. We're running Facebook ads, cold emails, webinars, all of that to bring. So it's a new type of sales for me because before it's always, here's some free leads. Do you like it? Okay, jump on. But we're bringing in people from both sides. I still have the lead gen customers that I have, and that's probably about 75% of the income. And I still have probably 15, 20 sites in the remodeling decks, all of that, the big ticket things that I could probably still sell just on their own. And then we're moving into once we get the SEO clients in there. And one of the things we've been trying to wrap around is a tool called Go High Level, which I know everybody's probably heard of. It's a little expensive to begin with, but once you get your clients in and you're automating all of their texts and their phone messaging, you've got them logged in, that's even harder for them to leave because now they have to leave all the automation that you've set up for them too. So
yeah, it's a cool,
great.
We were using that in 2021 and we even paid for like the white label app.
Yeah, they include that now.
Oh, cool. That was cool because then we're like, hey, we have an app, you know, whatever.
So it makes it look like you're doing all the automation. Yeah.
It's cool. But no, let's talk about that for a second. And also, by the way, Porter, any questions that you want to ask, I always seem to hog this because I'm just like selfishly asking these questions, but I'm a big fan of niching down 100%. I know like you and I have been in similar groups throughout the years and, you know, we've been doing this, you've been doing this. I've been doing it a couple more years than you, but similar time frame. And there's different pieces of advice out there. There's, you know, stick in a city and like test a bunch of niches out and be local and be the authority in your city. And then there's like pick a niche and go vertical. And for me, I never was able to scale. And there's a couple different things that I did, but I definitely look back and it was the year that I completely was like, I'm going to get good at this one specific niche. And I'm just going to focus on it. I'm going to be the specialist. I'm going to have testimonials. I'm going to have, you know, I'm going to be able to show them different examples. I'm going to have all these different things. And that was when I was able to scale. So have you like, what's your advice for somebody that's just starting out? If they don't know what niche they want to go into, should they stick in their city and try a couple different niches out so that they can like say, hey, I'm local and let's do the deal? Or should they from the beginning, you know, pick a niche and try to go vertical? What do you think?
I think you got to try a few, but one absolute don't do is small ticket. You know, Don't do
Like what?
dumpsters,
Give me an
don't do
example.
window
Coding?
cleaning, don't
Window
do
cleaning.
carpet cleaning. I mean,
Yes.
although I do know some people in seven-figure agency that are making millions of dollars with carpet cleaning and things like that. So it's possible. It's much harder with the lead gen because you have to have so many leads to make enough money, and it's tough. And if you don't have a GMB in those, forget it. You're never going to get there. So definitely go for, I would say try a few, see what you like, and probably local's better to try that when you start, because you might know some people, the area, you can talk about it better than feeling like you don't know it. But make sure that your average, I would say at least $5,000 minimum. To me, has got to be your ticket price, because you've got to be able to charge them enough money to make it worth it. So, I mean, I try to aim more towards 20 to now I'm trying to aim more towards 30, 40, 50,000 per job that they're doing. But, that would be key. Turn away the small guys that are just going to waste your time. The people that are only paying you $1,000 a month are going to take up 5 times about as money as the people that are paying you $5,000 a month.
It's funny how that works.
So much more to them. That $1,000 means so much more to them than the guy that's paying you $5,000 a month. And so, rightly so, they're more concerned about it. So they give you much more of a hard time about it. If they start telling you where they want an H1 or an H2, just say, I'm out. That's literally, I fired a guy yesterday. I said, we're halfway through the contract. I'm like, I'm out. You're going to tell me where to put your headings.
You can do it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, you build decks, I build websites. I'm not telling you how to do it. So, and the other key thing that I know that this has always been said as a pro in lead gen, you don't have to talk to the client. Talk to the clients, because the more you do, now we've started, and I learned a lot of this from 7-figure agency. We send them a gift when they start. We send them a gift on their renewal. We now talk to them at least quarterly, if not monthly, and they stay better. Even if you're just sending them, a small box of chocolates, or something that if you throw, we do pens, we'd send something that that's when you niche down too. You might be able to send a tape measure with your logo on it, because they're all into contracting, so they all need a tape measure or something like that, so that you can do. But not most agencies don't do that, and so they see it as something much different. And honestly, this is something that I've learned. We have to learn SEO. I mean, or we have to have people that do it, because if you don't have those leads, you don't make money in rank and rent. That's it. Right? You can't just fly by. You can't go, hey, we added more keywords. We added another page. The clients don't care about that at all. Your phone rings. And so what I've noticed, especially in some of these other groups, is that they're not as good at ranking and getting leads, but they're really good at keeping clients, because they communicate with them. They give them the gift. They keep them on, because, as they say in that group, most people leave because of perceived indifference. They don't think you care anymore. And if you show them they care, and you confidence, and you keep talking to them about, here's our good things we did this month, here's a couple of things we could work at, and we'll talk to you next month, and go that retention doing that keeps your retention so much higher by doing that. And that was something that I was struggling with for a while, was retention. And I think something that you were talking about, and Porter was before I came on, both of you guys, you've got to spend some money. I mean, once I've joined now 3 groups, your group and 2 others since then. And every time my money has doubled. And like you were saying, you want to learn about real estate, you paid somebody to teach you about real estate. I wanted to learn about organizing my company, I'm going to do that. I wanted to learn more about turning into an agency and getting leads that way. So I joined a group to do that. They each cost money, but every time I doubled my income. And so I know that a lot of this is a free group, and I was in this free group once. And sometimes it's hard to just say, oh my God, this is going to hurt. It does. But I have to say, I've learned each and every time that it has paid off. Every time. And I would even say the first group, which not to be named, we all say it still did get me started.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know, you have no idea.
Just kidding.
So, I made that first jumped to do that. And you have to, obviously evaluate and evaluate yourself and say, what do I need right now to get to that next level? I know when I joined your group, I needed some sales. I needed more help with sales. And that's what I did. And then I needed more help myself with building my team. And then I was switching to an agency model a little bit, like doing half agency, half lead gen. And I needed some more help in that segment. So I searched around, went to some free events, hung out with people. And as you get in that business and you meet all these people too, like I've gone to groups, and now Search Atlas, which is, if anybody's looking for something as an alternative to Ahrefs or SEMrush, look at Search Atlas. It does all of it for cheaper and more. I know the president of that company now. Like, I could call him up. I mean, we've had dinner together. Like, how did I do that? Because I joined these groups and you network.
It owns that company?
Yeah.
Search Atlas, awesome. We'll give it a plug. I've never tried it, but if you guys want to check it out,
look at it. Search. I'm not getting anything for giving it a plug. I just really like it.
Searchatlas.com/Shannon. No, I'm kidding.
No. I mean, but I've learned about different tools and different things, and I've sat down and had, dinner and lunch and drinks with people that, as you move up in these groups and you get more and more people, you have to spend money to meet these people, and get in their groups and break bread with them. And as you do that, they're going to tell you about Search Atlas, or they're going to tell you about another tool that help you with go high level, whatever it may be, as because you have to make decisions on all these tools. What project management tool am I going to use? What automation tool am I going to use? Who am I going to use to white label my Facebook ads? And all of a sudden, people that have been doing this for a long time, and you can get recommendations from them. You're not just randomly going from scratch. So I think joining masterminds, groups like this, any type of group that you're going to do, you can't join all of them, because I do know people that do that, and I wonder how the heck they're ever surviving. You have to pick and choose. Sure. But as you do, you meet the right people, and most people are willing to help you, and you just kind of that's meeting the right people along the way. But it's not just luck. You get out there, you create luck. Everybody's like, oh, you're just lucky. No, you create luck by being in those places, by making yourself out there and aware and listening to people and meeting people. And when you go to these conferences and things, go up and talk to them, ask them questions. And most of them are really willing to answer, and you make lifelong friends with a lot of them. So.
Has that ever been a problem for you, like spending money to make money, or if you felt like you've been pretty good at like not having that fear?
Well, I mean, when I think about it, like I went to college, got a loan, then I wanted to get higher in my because I was in corporate for a long time, and I needed a master's degree to get better there. So yes, although that time the corporation did pay most of my master's degree. And then I wanted to, basically I had 3 children and didn't want to be working 70 hours a week in Boston and driving back and forth. So I decided to go into the teaching professor. So that degree, that doctorate degree, I spent on my own. So I've always gone out and spent money to make money, because that made me a lot of money. Yes, I'm literally still paying off the doctorate degree and I'm close to retiring from being a professor.
Crazy.
But it was at a really low rate, so I figured, why pay it off?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So I'm like, why pay that one off? And I am a finance professor, so I kind of know that stuff. But yeah, but I will say in the lead gen in the beginning, because I only joined your group 2 years ago, so it took me 3 years to really jump to that next level. But I felt like I was just floundering. I wasn't getting anywhere, and so I finally did it with your group, and then I've joined a couple others. But each time it's paid off to do that. Now I realize, and I've listened to other people go, you got to do it, you got to spend money to make money, but until maybe you take that leap of faith and do it once and it pays off, then you do it again and again, and then just keep kind of moving up the ladder. And almost everybody I know in all of these groups, or might be leader of one mastermind, they go to other masterminds where they're paying $50,000 or $60,000 or $70,000. So those are the people that are teaching us that are paying $10,000 and $20,000 to join their masterminds, but they keep doing it too. So they're making themselves better along the way as well.
It's it's kind of like, I don't know what it is, but for some reason when you have skin in the game, you just get more out of it. And I've shared this example. I had this guy that he was part of one of these, you guys would know the name of this program, so I'm not going to mention it, but it was his friend, and his buddies like gave him the password and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'll share it with you. And I was like, oh, I've heard of that guy. And, yeah, I know he's really smart. And he gave me this password to this like $15,000 or $20,000 program. And I didn't even finish the first module. And because I was like, it's there, whatever. And then finally one day I like saw this YouTube video from the same guy's program. And I was like, oh, dude, I've accessed this guy's program. I'm gonna go jump in. And when I went to jump in, the password was changed, and I'm like, I can't really hit that guy up. But I didn't even take advantage because it didn't cost me any money. I'd have his skin in the game, and it was like it wasn't valuable to me. So it's interesting how when we have skin in the game, it's like it makes us almost, it forces us to actually do something with it, because we're like, man, for me, I'm like, I just spent $50,000 this commercial real estate guy. Like, I'm not gonna make moves this year. I can't imagine going through this whole year and be like, I spent $50,000 to learn this, and I didn't get one property, or I didn't, do my goal of getting $0, paying $0 in taxes. That would make me sick. It's like I just donated that money. So it's like, yes, you're getting the knowledge, but also it forces you to actually take action. So, okay, we have 6.5 minutes left. Porter, if anyone has questions, let's buzz through a couple questions. Do you see any questions? And I don't even have the chat pulled up. Is there any questions? If not, I've got a couple more. But if so, let's have Shannon answer a couple of questions before we end the stream.
All right. Don't have any questions so far. I asked a few questions before we started. Maybe you can answer these though. Dylan asked, when doing due diligence, how many lead gen sites I see ranking high for that niche should be a no-go?
Let's see if Shannon can answer this.
What was it when doing due diligence?
Yeah, so if you're looking at a city and you see other lead gens, if you see
Other lead gens.
Are you a no? If you see two, are you a no, or do you not pay attention and just treat it as a competitor?
Actually, I think the lead gens are the easiest ones to beat.
So true.
And the majority of them suck.
They suck bad. They're like ranked by because there's no competition.
Honestly, I would be more tendency of the lead gens and some of the actual, than to compete against some companies that that you can honestly see are spending a heck of a lot of money on their SEO, because now you know what you got to pay against. But most of the lead gen companies are not spending that much money, and half of them will just die out and it won't even be there in a year. So no, I don't worry about lead gens. I worry about other really professional companies.
Who asked that question, Porter?
Dylan.
I just need the first name. So Dylan, what I do, and I'm kind of like Shannon, I don't really care. Now, obviously, if I see that GoDaddy site with no backlinks and a homepage, that's my favorite to go after. But I'm like Shannon, if I see it, I just view it as another competitor. I put it on my due diligence sheet. I look at the backlinks. I look at the age of the domain. I look at the content. And I'm like, do they actually know what they're doing? And I treat it as if I didn't know that was a lead generator. It's just a competitor. Because at the end of the day, we look at these lead gen sites and we're like, oh my gosh, there's all this competition. Guys, most people don't know how to sell their leads. And so even if they're ranking, they probably most likely don't even have a client. They're probably getting leads and they're not even doing it. Or they might just be ranking for that one term or whatever. So there's no number of lead gen sites that's going to deter me. It's just another competitor. And if it's a crappy website, I'm still going to go into it, just like Shannon said.
Yeah. And you can call and see if they have it sold. You can
That's what I do. You know what my first thing I like to do is I like to call and see if I can buy the website.
Yeah, or that too. Yeah.
And that's actually, I used to get scared. I would see a lead generator like, oh man, I missed, man. I should have been in there. I really wish I would have done this a year ago. Finally, there was this tree service website I came across in my own hometown. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call them. I called and it went to voicemail. And I called again and went to voicemail. Like, they don't have a client. So I did some research. They were actually in that other group that we're a part of, Shannon. I found out, like, looked at the who is, and I sent them a Facebook message, and I was like, hey, I noticed that you're in this city, and like, would you be interested in selling your website? And they totally like snubbed me. Like, they were pissed. And I was like they were kind of rude about it. And so I was like, all right. And I was like, more just pride was hurt. And I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm just gonna send it. And I built a website, outranked. I don't even know if I outranked them, if I was right below them. Got a client and made 1,200 bucks a month since. And I almost didn't go into that city. And just like we talked about, it wasn't that good of a site. It wasn't that hard to rank right up there. And I think we passed them since then. So yeah, if you see those guys, go offer to buy the website. Go.
And lately, there's been so many people leaving Rank and Rent. I bought more websites with GMBs this year than I ever have.
Really?
Yeah, lots of people leaving the industry because they're all getting scared because they can't get GMBs, which is, you know, a truth. But yeah.
Really? Okay. That's if anyone's on this stream right now and wants to sell their sites, their assets, go ahead and hit me, Shannon, and Porter up because we're in the business of buying assets, not
That'd be
selling them.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else, Porter? Any other questions we can answer real quick?
Yeah, I just had one. What is it? What does a typical week look like for you as far as like managing a team? Like, obviously, I know you said you put out fires and stuff, like they really need to get done. But is it like do you do a weekly call with them to organize everything, or like do you have someone else that trains them if like someone new comes in? How does that kind of work?
We have SOPs for everything. So we have a whole trace. So if they're coming in as a SEO specialist, they go through that. If they're coming in as a writer, they go through those. They're coming in web developer. Luckily, we haven't had to hire a web developer in 3 years now. We have the same two. The other thing about team, well, I'm just going to throw that in. If you find one good, pay them. Give them bonuses and pay them because it is so much better to keep the good people than have them taken away. I meet with each one of my team members at least once every 3 months just for a review. But I meet with my general manager and my project manager. We meet every Wednesday for about an hour and a half, go over any issues that are coming up. The things I try to do with them is say, let's not like put out the fire. What is the cause of this overall problem? What's the root cause? Let's get down to that and fix that first. And then I meet with my SEO team. We meet twice a month. We meet with those. The writers, I don't need to meet with much, and mostly my general manager, my project manager manage them. I do still meet with them once a quarter, just how you doing? Build relationships because I think that's really important. We have a quarterly meeting where we all meet for 2 hours, and some of it's just playing games online. I mean, they're overseas, but it's more just to get to know them. We send them birthday presents, like we do bonuses and birthday presents and raises and all that stuff to keep them going. And the web development team, honestly, I meet with them once a quarter, but they're so good. They don't really need that much more than that. SEO is probably the ones I meet with most, twice a month. And then obviously my general manager and my project manager, we meet once a week. But otherwise, I try to keep it at a minimum.
That's awesome.
We use Slack mostly for short communications, and ClickUp we use to make sure everybody's on track with what they're supposed to be doing.
That's cool. One last question. What would you tell yourself just starting out? What would you like if you were like sitting across from yourself for your 2018, like what would you tell yourself? What word of advice would you give yourself?
Well, first of all, don't start with small niches. I wasted too much money and time on not a small niche, small ticket prices with that. Anybody want some dumpster sites? I've got a few of those. But don't do that. Don't be afraid to join groups to help you, and don't be afraid to hire people to help you. It seems overwhelming, but I mean, I use onlinejobs.ph all the time. I've had some bad ones, but I've had more good ones than bad ones. And then I just make sure I nurture the good ones really well to keep them. But you can't do everything. And if you think you're going to, well, then you're just going to stay at, maybe you can get to 20. I don't even know if you can do that by yourself, unless if you've got 10 clients paying you 2,000, you might be able to do that. But if you're going to try to do all of the work for 10 clients, that's a lot to do. You're not going to do it well, and then you're going to lose them and something's going to fall off. So that would be and I guess it really comes down to, don't be afraid to spend some money and take some chances if you really want to grow.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I just was curious because everyone's got something and they're like, man, I wish I would have done that. So thanks for sharing these nuggets. These are good. I learned a lot from this call, so I appreciate it.
Hey,
Okay.
Shannon,
Yeah.
we appreciate you hopping on. For
Yeah.
anybody out there that's telling us or telling themselves that they don't have time,
Yeah.
you know, then Shannon's not gonna feel bad for you. I'm not gonna feel bad for you. I mean, you do have time. When I started, I was
Plan
doing.
out what you're gonna do the day before and make sure you stick to that plan. I plan out the day, the week, the month, the quarter, and then
That's it.
stick to it. You
And you'd be
have to.
surprised how much time you can carve out. But yeah, like I started, I was doing door-to-door sales full time, and I was doing this at night from like 10 till I got too tired to do it anymore. And that's how I got my first client. And then so there's always time. It's just you don't want it bad enough, or your pain is not great enough to make a change. So anyway, Shannon, we really appreciate you hopping on. Excited to see you hit the 50 and then the 83,000 per month. Keep me posted.
We're ahead, and hopefully next year we talk.
Yeah, let's bring it on. When you hit 50, let's go again. Sound good?
Okay. All right.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Bye.